This is the Stairway to Heaven, otherwise known as the Haiku Stairs. With 3,922 steel steps climbing straight up the side of the Ko'olau mountain range and having some of the most breathtaking views you will ever see, it is considered by many as the most beautiful hike in the entire world. So why is it then that Hawaii is now spending over $2.5 million to destroy it? And what does it have to do with the dark secret the island has been trying to hide for years? To find out, we have to go back in time for a quick history lesson. It's 1942 and Hawaii is on high alert. Pearl Harbor is still reeling from the attack that thrust America into war, and the US military is scrambling to strengthen its presence in the Pacific, and they're facing a unique challenge. They need a way to communicate with ships and submarines across vast stretches of ocean, and traditional radio signals just aren't cutting it. So as a result, the plan to build a radio station in Hawaii was initiated. And trust me, this wasn't your average radio tower. The Navy needed a high-altitude facility to boost their signal range, which meant that they had their sights set on the towering Ko'olau mountain range. But how do you build a radio station on top of a mountain? The answer: one step at a time. The Navy's plan was extremely bold. They would construct a staircase straight up the side of the mountain, using the natural topography of Haiku Valley to their advantage, because this wasn't just any old set of stairs, mind you. We're talking about 3,922 steps climbing nearly vertically for 2,800 feet. Building these stairs was no easy feat. The terrain was dangerous, the slopes were steep, and the weather was unpredictable. Workers had to navigate dense jungle, sheer cliffs, and the constant threat of rock slides. But wartime urgency pushed them forward. The US needed reliable communication with its naval forces, and Hawaii was key to controlling the Pacific. Initially, these stairs were made of wood, but that obviously doesn't maintain that well in the tropical Hawaiian climate. So in the 1950s, the original wooden steps were replaced with more durable metal ones, and this upgrade transformed the Haiku Stairs into the engineering masterpiece we know today. As Cold War tensions eased and technology advanced, the Haiku radio station's strategic importance ultimately began to wane, as the Navy's need for the facility diminished. And during these years in the 1950s, the site was primarily operated by the Coast Guard. For years, the Haiku Stairs went unnoticed, their existence known only to a select few. But secrets have a way of getting out, especially when they're as visually striking as a staircase climbing nearly vertically up a beautiful Hawaiian mountainside, and word began to spread among locals about the breathtaking views and the unique experience the stairs offered. In the 1970s, the Coast Guard made a decision that would change the fate of the Haiku Stairs forever. They began allowing limited public access to the site, which marked the beginning of the stairs' transition from military asset to hiking paradise, and early hikers during that time described the experience as nothing short of magical. However, this is where things would get crazy, because in April of 1981, an episode of the popular TV show Magnum P.I. featured the Haiku Stairs, catapulting them into the national spotlight.
This reminds me of Nepal, fall 43. I was ordered to get supplies to a Chinese guerrilla outfit fighting high in the Himalayas.
And not much later in September, two of the largest publications in Honolulu, called the Star Bulletin and Star Advertiser, promoted the stairs even more in their newspapers, which marked the beginning of absolute chaos. The Coast Guard now got flooded with requests, and what had once been a relatively quiet local attraction was suddenly thrust into the limelight, drawing more attention and more visitors than ever before. Then, in 1987, the unexpected happened, because the wildly popular Haiku Stairs were suddenly closed to the public. But why? Well, the Coast Guard introduced a limit of 75 climbers at a time, and with it came an influx of trespassers and vandalism of visitors, which ultimately resulted in temporary closure for maintenance in March. But what was originally announced as temporary soon became permanent, and as weeks turned into months and months into years, it became clear that the Stairway to Heaven was off limits for the foreseeable future. However, here's where things take an unexpected turn. Instead of discouraging interest in the Haiku Stairs, the closure had the opposite effect, because they became more alluring than ever before. It was a classic case of forbidden fruit. Tell someone they can't have something and suddenly they want it more than ever. And this brings us to the 2000s, when the rise of social media marked a turning point for the Haiku Stairs. What was once a local activity began to capture the imagination of adventure seekers worldwide. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube became platforms for sharing stunning photos and videos of the climb, turning the Stairway to Heaven into a viral sensation. The allure of this forbidden hike grew exponentially. Thrill seekers from around the globe added the Haiku Stairs to their bucket lists, drawn by the promise of breathtaking views and the thrill of conquering an illegal trail. Because, yes, it was still extremely illegal, and with no public entrance, visitors had to trespass through neighborhoods to get on the stairs. The more the authorities tried to keep people away, the more desirable the hike became. This surge in popularity led to a dramatic increase in illegal hiking attempts. Between August 2017 and March 2020 alone, police officers turned away a staggering 11,427 people who tried to access the stairs. That's an average of nearly 13 people every single day. But these numbers only tell part of the story. For every person turned away, countless others managed to slip past security and make the climb. The internet was flooded with tips and tricks for evading detection, from starting the hike in the middle of the night to using alternate access points. And this had a severe impact on local communities.
Kaneohe Neighborhood Board members were recently told by a police officer that a hiker was shot by a pellet gun following an altercation. We checked with HPD and found out someone was arrested, but the case has since been closed.
Quiet neighborhoods near the trailhead were disrupted by a constant stream of visitors, many of whom had little regard for private property. Residents woke up to find strangers illegally parking, vandalizing private property, or sometimes even urinating in their gardens. And this left law enforcement finding themselves in an impossible situation. During one weekend, police issued 60 warnings and 8 citations for trespassing. But these efforts barely made a dent in the flood of hikers determined to conquer the stairs. A spokesperson for the city and county of Honolulu summed up the frustration, saying, "It's not about you, and don't be selfish. When you think about what you're doing to the work people, the environment, tracking invasive species in, on top of putting the work people at risk, and on top of putting yourself at risk, it's really not Pono, morally right." And the price tag of fame for the Haiku Stairs went far beyond the occasional trespassing fine. Between 2010 and 2022, a staggering 188 rescues were conducted on the illegal trail. These rescues weren't just inconvenient, they were expensive. Helicopter operations can cost thousands of dollars, and guess who pays for it? That's right, Hawaii's taxpayers. A bill was even introduced to make hikers pay for their own rescues, but that didn't get passed. And when you also account for the $250,000 worth of security that was placed at the stairs every year, that was also paid by Hawaii's taxpayers, things started to reach a boiling point. However, on the other hand, the Friends of Haiku Stairs group argued that the stairs were actually one of the safest hikes on the island. They pointed out that there had been 0 deaths or serious injuries recorded due to falls on the stairs themselves. But this argument missed the bigger picture. The danger wasn't just on the stairs. It was in the illegal access, the unprepared hikers, and the strain on emergency services. As the problems mounted, officials found themselves facing a difficult question. How do you solve a problem like the Haiku Stairs? The costs, financial and social, were clear. But the solution? That was far less obvious. Until it wasn't.
They're beautiful, they're scary, a lot of people love them, but after decades of debate, it appears the fate of the Haiku Stairs has been decided.
Yeah, today Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi said his administration will move forward to remove the structure.
On September 13, 2021, the Honolulu City Council made a decision that would shock people all over the world. After years of debate, legal battles, and mounting pressure from all sides, they voted unanimously to remove the Haiku Stairs. And this wasn't just a simple closure. It was a complete dismantling of a structure that had stood for nearly 80 years. The price tag for this decision? A staggering $2.5 million. That's right, Hawaii was willing to spend millions of dollars to tear down one of its most famous landmarks. And the city's plan, which started back in April 2024, reads like something out of an action movie. Over 600 stair modules would be dismantled and airlifted off the mountain by helicopter, which is a massive undertaking that's expected to take around 6 months to complete. But not everyone was convinced that destruction was the answer, because Friends of Haiku Stairs, a non-profit organization that fought for the famous attraction, refused to let this iconic landmark disappear without a fight. While government officials were making plans to dismantle the stairs, this group of passionate locals saw a different path forward. They believed that the Haiku Stairs weren't just a controversial hiking spot, but a piece of history worth preserving. And they didn't just voice their opposition, because they also came armed with data. In April of 2022, they conducted a public opinion poll that revealed a pretty surprising fact. Over 90% of comments submitted favored keeping the stairs open. And this wasn't just a vocal minority. It was the overwhelming majority of Hawaiians who wanted to see the Stairway to Heaven preserved. With this plan also came solutions, and their main proposal was a managed access plan that would allow legal hiking while addressing the concerns that led to the closure. The idea was simple: charge hikers a fee to access the stairs and use that money to fund maintenance and security. They argued that their plan could generate significant revenue for the city, because instead of spending $2.5 million to tear down the stairs, why not turn them into a controlled, profitable attraction? It seemed like a win-win situation: preserve the stairs, satisfy hikers, and bring in money for the local community. But despite this seemingly logical proposal and the overwhelming public support, the Honolulu City Council wasn't swayed and continued the demolition to get rid of the Stairway to Heaven once and for all. However, the story doesn't end here, because the battle over the Haiku Stairs exposed a deeper tension in Hawaii's relationship with its stunning landscapes. And despite these stairs technically not being dangerous due to their limited injuries and deaths, there's actually a dark side to Hawaii that not many know or talk about. When you think of Hawaii, you probably imagine pristine beaches, beautiful forests, and breathtaking hikes. But beneath this picture-perfect surface lies a scary truth. In 2016, it was reported that since July 2012, at least 147 visitors, nearly 1 week on average, have died in Hawaii from injuries suffered while doing common tourist activities like swimming, snorkeling, hiking, and going on scenic drives. You heard that right. 1 person every week. And although that was over 8 years ago, Hawaii still has these problems to this day. Take the Olomana Trail, for example. This hike in Oahu is often described as one of the most beautiful in Hawaii, offering panoramic views of the island's windward side, but it's also earned the nickname the Trail of Death, as since 2011, at least 6 people have lost their lives attempting to conquer its steep, narrow ridges. Throughout the years, the government has been criticized a lot for lacking a clear and consistent safety message to visitors before they arrive. And even though the island has placed more warning signs, incidents still happen way too often. A lawsuit even happened as recently as this year, where Patty Johnson initiated legal action against the Fairmont Kialani Resort, the Hawaii Tourism Authority, and the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau, following the death of her husband, Ray Johnson, who drowned while snorkeling off Wailea Beach on Maui. In the lawsuit, she claims her husband was never advised on the dangers of rope by state authorities or the resort, which is a serious disorder that occurs when the lungs suddenly fill with fluid, and this put Hawaii once again into a negative spotlight. So it is very clear that Hawaii keeps making the news when it comes to these deadly incidents. But the question is, will it change anything? And can Hawaii even fix this problem in the first place after all these years? I guess only time will tell, but one thing is for certain, and that is that it unfortunately became one of the reasons why they removed the most beautiful hike in the world, despite it officially having 0 deaths related to it. However, have you ever wondered why hiking is suddenly so popular in the first place? Well, the answer to that might surprise you, so click the video on the screen right now to find out more.